Hello, welcome to my podcast, Friday PM on the Go. My name is Luigi Scarcelli. I'm here with Grant Johnson, originally from Rockford, Illinois. He now resides in Fort Myers, Florida. Grant had a very interesting shop in the 1960s, probably into the 70s. He's going to tell us more about it. It was called Straight Johnson's. It was ahead of its time. Right now, when you walk down the streets in Portland, you'll probably find about 10 places kind of similar. But this was happening when the cops weren't too happy to even go in there. Nowadays, they'll probably go in and smoke a joint with you. Those days, a lot of stuff happened, and it caused him to actually have to skip out and move to Florida. We're going to hear about it, the good, the bad, the ugly. Here we are with Grant Johnson talking about Straight Johnson's. Hello, Grant.
Hey, Luigi, what's happening?
Oh, not a lot. We're just sitting here comfortably in front of a fireplace. I have microphones for both of us, so hopefully the viewers can listen, maybe not view as much. But let's talk a little bit about when you were having this shop. What type of a shop would you suggest that it was, if you had to describe it?
Well, I mean, it was a head shop, out and out a head shop. But it was more than that. It was, we were a little ahead of our time, and we had an old Victorian two-story with a huge attic on the main street. So on the very top was the head shop. And then on the floor underneath that, we had all the music stuff we had records, we had tapes, whatever they were at that time, and some movies. And then on the main floor, we had, decoupage. We had a water bed and a frame, which we burned and brushed, and so we were selling water beds and delivering and installing. And we had turquoise and silver jewelry, and eventually it was more. We had a sweatshop and a 3-car garage that made handmade denim clothing, shirts, stuff like that. And then we sold a lot of denim. And this was probably 69 through 72 or so. I can't remember. I'm getting old.
But this was, would it be safe to say this was early on in the waterbed fad even? It seems like that's...
Yeah, we were right on top of that.
Right.
That was really a money maker.
People loved it.
Oh, yeah.
So
it was fun too.
You guys were counterculture. It was pretty early on, and when counterculture got big, that started kind of in London. It grew into a lot of other smaller places.
Yeah.
And you guys were the only game in town, and this was Rockford, Illinois. Is that correct?
Rockford, Illinois, and at that time it was probably it's upper Midwest, medium small town, maybe 100,000, 200,000 the area.
It definitely wasn't San Francisco. It was a little more square.
Everybody was trying. There was a big need of young people at that time to just explode doing something. And
the 50s, the repressive time and that.
Music,
Right, music got there. You guys were selling records. That brought a lot of people in because in those days you had to buy these, fun, funky new records somewhere, and there wasn't record places everywhere.
There wasn't iPhones, and there wasn't internet, and there was radio, and there was some TV. But if you wanted to listen to somebody and support, everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people really got into music, and buying a record, you could bring that music home and you could play it all day long and smoke some weed or whatever.
Or comedy records, early comedy records maybe.
Well, let's see there.
Like a Richard Pryor, George Carlin.
Oh God, something theater. There was some comedy that was, you probably had to be doing LSD to get it, but.
So Straight Johnson's, it's 2 floors. You have water beds, kind of on the first floor, records. Second floor, you said was more of was that a different?
Well, it was actually 3 stores. The very top was the head shop. The second was music, and the ground floor was all the other stuff.
Was the head shop on the 3rd floor by design because it was the hardest for the cops to get to by the time they got there?
That was it. We had escape ladders out the windows.
You could run out with all. And
we almost did, actually.
And when you say that it wasn't even really pot that you were selling up front.
Oh,
it was like pipes and bongs.
That was not allowed. And,
right.
And
but it was barely tolerated to sell.
I had two partners, Tom and Ted, and these guys were the head shop from DeKalb, and I won't say more.
So
and I was
beyond the statute of limitations. So.
It is good, and I was basically the business man. So we were friends, and we just said, okay, well, we each put in a third of the money, and I said, I'll set up kind of how it runs, and you guys already know how to do this, and then we'll, we had this and this and this, and so we had this huge Victorian, and it was wonderful. And then the one next door became available, so in that one we did the Sunshine Cafe. And then we had an expanded waterbed showroom, and then in that space we did, I don't know what we did, we did something else.
Well, so let's catch up the listener to your family background, though, was also in appliances, right? So that kind of waterbed thing wasn't so completely out of the ordinary, in the sense that your dad and you guys did you have an appliance type of store? Like, you're familiar with like things like a waterbed that maybe some other hippie guy wouldn't even know how to deal with. Something
I think I was a born technician.
Right.
So yeah, I could. I mean, I
install it.
I could show everybody how everything worked, and then I also could show them how the business worked. And
right.
I was well trained by my father and my grandfather. And the family, the whole family were. We're all like blue collar business people.
And you were trying to do something a little different, and so...
Oh, I wanted to move to Colorado and be a ski bum, and that's what I wanted. And that's what I did after
did. But so you had the two partners, and were you guys having bands there? Was there things like that? What was the
Well, we didn't
connection
have
to the
music
counterculture?
there, but we co-opted with a couple of other places and put on shows with local Rockford area talent, and I'm trying to remember this one place was like the hippie place in Rockford, and oh God, I can't remember the name of that place. But we did a lot of stuff in conjunction with them, and a few other things.
Right, and so 69 to 72. It's in retrospect, it's a short window of time. So it kind of burned brightly, and then. Wasn't there some issues with you and the partners? Then you also had some issues with competitors. There seemed to me to be that there was somebody burnt the place down at one point.
Yeah, well, that's basically what caused us to just close. And then, look, Luigi, this was really fun. It was a blast. The second building was so cool because we had furniture and all kinds of stuff, and another three-car garage in the back that we were doing the waterbed business because it was that good. Oh, God, and we had about 20 people working for us, and everybody was having fun. And we had a burglary, and we had two buildings, and we had one of them insured. We thought we had both insured, but we didn't have the one that burned insured. So apparently somebody broke in or something, and then they started a fire. So we had an arson. And Tom and Ted and I, we had done extremely well there. Ted was from some Chicago suburb. Tom was from Rockford. I'm from Rockford, but we all didn't want to be in Rockford. We were doing trips, spending it, but putting enough away that you could just go away. And then, so that's what we did. When the arson happened, we had a going out of business sale, and Ted went to, I think he went to California. Tom went to Austin, Texas, and I went to Boulder and then to Aspen. And we were...
It's almost like the patient zeros of all these places, Aspen, Austin.
I was into downhill skiing and the year-round stuff, and my brother Mitch was out there, and my cousin Carl was in Boulder, and then he'd come out to Aspen all the time. Tom's girlfriend was from Austin, Texas, and he loved it there. And Ted's girlfriend was from California, and those girls didn't want to stay in Rockford either. They're like, okay, we'll give you like 60 days or we're leaving. Are you going with us? You know?
Right. So that was it.
And I had a girlfriend as well, and she wanted to go to Colorado too.
So it was a short window of time, but it was very exciting. You guys had a lot of fun.
We had a blast. We didn't get arrested.
And there was some
good
thought,
point.
I think the conspiracy theory might have been that the cops burned the place down because they didn't like you guys.
Well, we thought it was maybe the young Republicans.
Yep. Could have been.
I don't think the cops.
Somebody who was, you weren't the most liked guys in town from the old guard. Would that be safe to say?
I think that we were just kind of.
You were ahead of your time.
Well, we were at the cusp
Yeah.
of what was going on.
Yeah.
We were following what was going on the East and West Coast and stuff, and seeing how cool it was, because we all did some traveling.
Right.
And you'd come back and go, Jesus Christ, we could do that. And that just, everything we did worked out well.
And so after that, you did say you moved to Aspen, and the next chapter of your life went on in different directions for all three of you. But what would you say is kind of the lasting impression, or now how ubiquitous a lot of these head shops are? What were you guys doing at the time that you kind of see now a lot?
Well, I think head shops have become dispensaries, things like that, the legalized stuff. I think the concept we had was we were like a department store that had a head shop, but we also had the music. We had clothing. At that time, we had some furniture, and we had gotten a little bit more into clothing. And the Sunshine Cafe was very popular. I'm sure this concept is going on in a lot of areas, i.e., California, Colorado, Austin.
Maine.
We were just trying to do it in Rockford, and it was successful. And if the arson hadn't happened, we'd probably still be there with like trusted friends like John A. and Gail and some other people running it. But we were all really ready to, move on.
Yeah, you were young. And the one last question about that, would you say you guys were kind of, it almost seems like it became a brand in a sense. People knew. Did you have T-shirts? Was there things like that? Was it?
Oh, we did.
Bumper stickers?
Yeah, we had great T-shirts.
Right.
And we got into, we did some concerts and some, there were a couple of really great, Buckshot I think was one of the bands, and they were country rock, which kind of what we were. And we did some cooperation with a couple of bars, and we did some small venues, and Straight Johnson's was a happy place. The owners, Tom and Ted and I were good friends, and we really had a good time. We shared the wealth with our people, and we were trying to do a cultural, positive trip. It was very good for us mentally, because it brought a little bit of the places we wanted to be to Rockford, and then we tried to emulate that with everybody had their house, and we were playing the good music, and we had some good weed and stuff, and it was just a really good time.
It sounds like a kind of a chunk of history that for those of us who weren't there, we kind of wish we at least had that opportunity to be there for a minute or two, see it, enjoy it. Straight Johnson's gone but not forgotten. Grant Johnson, thank you very much for your time.
Hey, thank you,
and
Luigi.
Thank you very much for listening. Good night.